Que pasa AG3
fam?
and bienvenidos.
Welcome
to another episode of the AG3 family. How y'all doing? Como estáis? Today is a beautiful day, absolutely perfect, near perfect. We have about 80 degrees here and it feels like summer's on the way. That's what
Definitely.
It feels like. Let's get into the nitty gritty. In today's episode, we're gonna talk about 5 things that we really wish we knew before we came here, all right? Okay, the first point we wanna go over is the actual cost of living. So this is something that you really have to look at in a full spectrum because when you think of cost of living, it's not just one thing, it's multiple things, which we know, but it's really like location dependent, right?
Absolutely is.
So we live in the Sevilla province, for example, and here it's relatively cheap. This is one of the cheaper places that you can live in the entire country of Spain. So things aren't so elevated in price as it would be in the north, for example, like Barcelona, or Madrid, or Valencia. And we actually have a list of cities and the average cost of living. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here, and it'll show you a good example of what you can be expected to pay for like rent. You know, that's like the main thing people look for is like, what am I paying for rent? Or, you know, so you need to consider it's really location dependent, and then the size of your family as well.
The bigger the space, the higher the rent.
True. But it actually worked out for us because we live in the Sevilla province, which happens to be one of the cheaper areas to live.
Correct.
Okay, so if you're thinking about living somewhere up north, look at the cost of living, look at the difference, right? Something that I didn't know was so expensive here, getting your license to drive. A Spanish driver's license here is just ridiculously expensive, and I really think it's a scam.
Well, let's be nice. Yeah. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean,
how they get people to pay so much money just to get a license. You got to pay for lessons to learn how to drive, and then you got to pay for the actual class. And it's a written exam and a physical exam, kind of like how it is in the States, but it's just, I'll put the prices up here and compare what it costs to get a license here in Spain versus what it costs in the US, which I feel like is criminal in my opinion, because in the US we start driving when we're like 15 and we have a lot of experience driving. Like I came here and it was no issues driving, but that's something to consider too.
Okay guys, so our second point that we want to make is the school systems here in Spain. Not all schools are created equal. What do I mean when I say that? I mean that there are different options that all parents have. I will give you a personal example based upon our family and our experience. When we first moved here 6 years ago, we put our children in a charter school or a concertado school, meaning they wore a uniform, but it was free. We didn't have to pay anything. And that was a great decision for us at the time because what it did was it forced our kids to become fluent in Spanish. It forced them to learn the culture, learn the language. And that was very beneficial for them as well as us as parents. Now here it is 6.5, almost 7 years later. In this past year and a half, they've been going to an international school, which that has its own pros and cons.
Private though, isn't it?
It is private. The tuition for us, it is a lot of money, but it was so beneficial because once they became fluent in Spanish and in the culture, they were able to easily transition to a international school where you have different students from all parts of the country. You know, the children have a more open mindset and more used to cultural diversity. And so that has proven very beneficial for our children, and we're grateful that we made that decision. So another point that I really want parents to understand is, based upon my opinion as a mother, as a parent of 3 children, ranging from ages 8, 11, and 15, the school system here in Spain overall, I feel is great. Once you get into middle school and high school, to me, they almost pivot, like it's a pivot in the education system, meaning everything becomes very, very advanced. So if you have a adolescent, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and y'all want to move to Spain, he or she don't speak the language, I'm gonna be honest with you, it would be a little bit harder of a transition, just because I feel like the school system is a lot more advanced once you start getting to that 6th grade. Another benefit that I appreciate about the international schools is that when your children graduate, they will have dual diploma. So they have the diploma here from Spain, and then they have their other international diploma where they can transition and go to college any part of the world. So those are, like I said, with everything there are pros and cons, and you just have to weigh them based upon what you and your family and your children want.
All right, folks, so the next point we want to make is the language learning. I wish we knew that language learning was so essential when it comes to just functioning in the country. And the reason we say that is just based off of our experience. Obviously, we came from Florida, as a lot of you know, and there's a lot of Spanish speakers in Florida.
Right.
Mainly the Latino Spanish, but you know, it's not the same as the Spanish here in Spain, especially the Andalusian accent is just so unique.
¿Y qué fue lo que pasó? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué escuchaste? Un porazo que un golpe rojo, pero después no sabía que convenció de mis hijos y dice, mamá, vamos hablando una persona, una mujer.
Dice tú, yo estoy reventado, yo tengo ustedes cómo lo van a tener que escayola, que me vas a tener que llevar Virgen de Rocío, me vas a dar fin de semana.
So with that in mind, all the phrases, all of the things that they say, the jargon, the slang, it is a lot. It is a lot
to process.
But I feel like if you're an English speaker and you're coming to Spain, you should probably enroll yourself in some kind of class. And I'm not talking about South American Spanish. I'm talking about you need to get you a teacher from Andalusia to teach you the Andalusian Spanish.
¡Qué bonita! Eres más de la reina del martes santo. Eres preciosa. El barrio entero para ti, para la calle, reina.
I think us as Americans, sometimes we get a bad rap about like being arrogant and just going to different countries and expecting for people to just speak English.
Do you speak any English?
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
And we're here to divide that stereotype. You know, that was the first thing we tried to do here when we got here, was to learn the language. And for us personally, we enjoyed it. We enjoy coming from the south of the United States to moving to the south of Spain and hearing that Andalusian accent and the Castilian. It's been interesting and comical and quite enjoyable for us. And so like we said, we're not fluent, we're still learning, but we can hold a conversation and we can get along pretty decent. So
make your journey easier, learn the language. The next point we want to emphasize is building a community takes a little bit of time.
Absolutely does.
I think when it comes to communities, it's really depending upon what kind of person you are and what do you expect to get out of your experience and being in another country. Do you want a community?
Some people do prefer to be in their own space.
Yeah, do you just want to live and exist in a new environment that is not where you currently are? Okay, that's fine. But if you're looking to build a community, just know that it takes time. It takes your patience. And here in Spain, and specifically, it can be a little bit challenging. And that's just one thing that we really didn't know before we came here. Obviously, there's the thing about the language barrier that is there. It's obvious, you know. And here they're very traditional. However, it is not a deterrent. We have been able to establish ourselves a small community over time that came with, as she has stated earlier, immersing yourself into the culture, going out, go have a cafe, you know, go eat out sometimes, you know, don't always be in the house. Try to be friendly with people, just kind of put yourself out there. There are groups here that you can get involved in. We found us a group that has introduced us to a lot of people, not just Spaniards, but people across the world who are living here as immigrants or expats. You know, finding those groups have really helped with the integration.
Right.
So, I mean, we had a video where we did the wedding for Chavez and Esperanza, and that's just one example of some of the groups that we have been able to establish friendships with. So there's always hope. It always lies here in the heart. How patient are you with the process that it takes to be able to find people and communities that resonate with you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because one thing that everyone knows, Spain is one of the highest visited countries with tourism and just people moving here in the world. And so the beauty of this country is like all of their traditional things they have, like the flamenco and the ferias, the fairs that they have annually. Each town and city has their things that they do, and you can experience those things on your own as an immigrant, which is great. But when you experience them with a local national, a Spaniard, it makes it more sweet, it makes it more authentic. Anybody has to be careful with who you trust. You can't just trust anybody. But if you have, like he said, a pure heart, then you know, you will attract good people with good energy. And for the most part, Spaniards can be quite friendly, you know, and it just depends on, you know, who you are and who they are. It's a great experience when you immerse yourself and you gain those local friends. It can be very beneficial.
There are mean people everywhere. There are disgruntled people everywhere.
Absolutely.
So do not expect to come here and escape any of those kinds of people. Because fifth and final point, we'll probably miss the things that you didn't expect you would miss. When it comes to moving abroad, it is a big process. So first off, congratulations for anybody who's thinking about taking a move abroad and anybody who has done it, because it is a big thing to do, especially if you have a family. So with that in mind, we can personally say that there are things that we missed. For you, it might be something different. It might be stuff like Chick-fil-A, or, you know, it might be something like the bureaucracy. Because here, the bureaucracy, going to City Hall, taking care of like business like that, it could be tough and it could be frustrating.
You know what? I don't have time for this. I ain't going to jail over you. I will beat your...
Especially when you're inside of a new process that may not be as efficient and swift as it is in the States. In that regard, you could miss some of the things that you're used to in the States just because you're inside of a new process, right?
Why does everything have to be so complicated?
What you're doing is you're reprogramming your mind to learn a new way. You're reprogramming your mind to learn a new culture. If you allow yourself to go through the process, you know, Walmart is not even 24 hours anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they close at a certain time. You know, I think COVID made that big change, but like, would I want a 24-hour Walmart here? Yeah, that'd be cool. But do I need it? No, I really don't.
Yeah, because we've survived without it.
Sir, everything closes on Sunday here in the Sevilla province. You know, so some things you're gonna miss. So just keep that in mind. There are gonna be some things that you're gonna be like, okay, I'm not cool with this.
Yeah, cultural changes, cultural shocks.
Yeah.
And those are all things that you have to get accustomed to. And like we keep saying, there are pros and cons to everything, and you have your pros and your cons with that.
And we always emphasize the fact that, you know, God is first in our lives. And I feel like when you submit yourself to Him, everything really falls in line. And a lot of the chaos that happens around us, you can't feel because we make God so big in our lives that, you know, people can't deter us, processes can't deter us. Nothing's gonna throw us off track because we have extreme divine confidence in the Creator. So,
yes, well said, baby.
Yeah, I mean, so that is how we, the Agent 3 family, has been able to thrive here in such a beautiful country. So we really hope that those thinking about making the move abroad can just take this video and other videos as well and cross-reference them with your thoughts that you're having.
Guys, another thing I wanted to plug in was we've been getting so many comments and so many emails about questions. You have a lot of different families wanting to move here, wanting to know the process. So what we did was we created a short ebook. It's not even a book, it's a short guide on how to move from the United States to Spain. It answers all of the questions for you. Basically what we did was we did all the research for you and we compiled it into one short ebook. Or I'm gonna leave the link below. It's on my website, and check it out if you guys are interested.
We just want to say thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to show us love and participation And where are the kids?
Yeah, let's get the babies. I'll be right back.
Okay, guys, so like as we said, this episode was to encourage families. Every episode we do is to encourage families. What am I talking about? Not just this one.
Right.
But all of them are to encourage families. And I just want you to know that no family is perfect, ours included. But we felt like with God, he's given us the perfect experience because he's been with us the entire time. Make sure you stay tuned for any videos that we're going to produce in the future. Until next time,
Hasta luego. Be blessed and hug someone.